Man, we got nothing for this show this week. 0.0.
Hey there, sweetie. Well, if you're thinking of something, look what I found here.
No, the Leafs suck.
Oh, Mitch Marner's wonderful. And, you know, if they just get some kind of a defensive thing.
Are you wearing the same shirt as me, Alice Cooper shirt?
I am. Well, back in the day, I interviewed a lot of rock stars. And, yeah, that's what I was thinking.
Wait, what are you doing right now?
Better on this side. Yeah.
Oh, are you trying to take over my show right now?
Well...
Hey guys, welcome on in to Drinks with Binks. I'm Julie Stewart-Binks, and as you can see, we are still here in the JSB Museum in Toronto, Canada. I'm getting used to being back here and just seeing, random photos of myself on the wall and seeing all these wonderful medals that my parents spent their life savings on in my figure skating career, which of course went very, very well. And it's nice to be home. It's good to be home because we are still dealing with the global pandemic. I know that sometimes we sort of forget about that these days, but there is still a lot we have to do in this world, and we luckily get to experience what we've done normally virtually. That's what we've been doing this whole time. And side note, I found this lovely blazer in my closet that I actually wore to an Irish house party 10 years ago. I would say I would not do that again. But what I would do again is have on this guest right now, someone that I'm extremely excited is giving us time here today. You know him as Cousin Sal, Sal Iacono, who is the co-founder of the Extra Points podcast network, co-host on Fox Bet Live, and, the hidden prankster on Jimmy Kimmel, comedian, writer, attorney. He has all the jobs in the entire world. Degenerate gambler, of course. Cousin Sal, thanks so much for taking the time here today to join us.
Wow, thank you, Julie. And I appreciate all the rundown of all my credits, and yet it pales in comparison to the 100 or so medals I see hanging over your head. My goodness, are you sure you didn't bring those in just for effect, like the props department?
Yeah, no, I put them all, autumn skate and all of these like little dinky competitions. I thought all of my viewers in America would be very impressed that I have a participation award from a track meet when I was in grade 4. But you gotta embrace your accolades when you have them, right? Like your Emmy. It's basically like you putting your Emmy right there.
Oh, that thing. Oh, I didn't even, I didn't even notice that. I had no idea. I go from room to room, and if there's an Emmy in it, so be it. But yeah, I guess
there's just an Emmy in every room, really. It's just like, well, the Emmy room is every room.
That's just kind of how it is. But I'm more impressed with what you have. First of all, what is an Irish house party? I think we breezed over that. Maybe that's more commonplace than it is here. What is it? You wore that jacket to an Irish house party?
Yeah, I lived in London, England for a year, and obviously I bought this blazer because I could not buy this blazer. And I wore a Union Jack blazer to an Irish house party, and I learned quite a bit about the history between the two countries and nations. And so didn't really make a whole lot of friends from like this Irish house party that night, but I learned a lot. And so I feel as though I can wear it here on the show now, because that's what I've been wearing, like my old clothes again. Everyone's always buying new clothes and doing this whole Rent the Runway thing. Like, I'm like, why don't I just wear my own clothes? But you know what we're not doing today? We are not getting shit-faced here on the show because, Sal, what are we drinking?
Well, we are drinking, this is my favorite drink in the world, and I'm sorry to do this to you. I know it's not as exciting, but Coke Zero. And it's in the morning here. Have you had Coke Zero before?
Of course I've had Coke Zero. I'm a basic bitch. That's what we drink all the time.
I love this drink. And
okay.
Oh, good. I'm sorry. How does this work? Oh, do I pour it yet?
No, you take, okay, so we're going to have a Coke Zero.
I have a glass.
And then what are we toasting to?
I don't know. I mean, more ice skating medals, I think, right? You can never have enough.
Can't have enough ice skating medals. We're going to get back out on the ice this winter.
There you go.
Cheers to that.
Cheers, big ears.
Bottoms up.
Mm. So I want to tell just real quick, and no one's going to care about this, but August 2nd, 1984, my cousin Jimmy Kimmel and I, this was decades before you were even born, my cousin Jimmy and I and a few of his friends took an oath to never drink Pepsi. We would never have Pepsi pass our lips again. And to my knowledge, I have not, I have succeeded in carrying that out. And because Pepsi, we thought, is Satan's piss, really. So any Pepsi products we stayed away from. And I landed on Coke Zero, even better than Coke, I think, right now. Coke is kind of just too sweet for me at this age. So, God, I love Coke Zero any time of day. I'm going to have even more now. Ugh.
Yeah, keep drinking. We're gonna have as much Coke Zero as we want here on the show. But so it was just you thought it was Satan's piss. You guys were just like, nope. Did you do the Coke Pepsi challenge? Remember those things back?
You know what? Of course I remember. And that kind of inspired our oath there, because I took the Pepsi challenge and I picked Coke. And the guy doing the survey was you would go up to a desk. They would give you Coke, a sample of Coke and sample of Pepsi. You didn't know what you were drinking. And then you would tell them what you like. And I picked Coke, and the guy's like, yeah, everyone's picking Coke. And of course, they don't air that. It's a Pepsi ad, so they're only going to air the people who choose Pepsi. And that rubbed me the wrong way. I wasn't a huge Michael Jackson fan. He did a Pepsi commercial back then. I think my sister liked him, so I had to hate him. So a lot of things added up, and I went on a one-man crusade, or a four-man crusade as it was, against Pepsi.
Well, you guys got the scoop. You got the scoop that people like Coke more than they like Pepsi, and you can tell the difference, definitely.
Yeah.
But Sal? What if Pepsi wanted to sponsor your network?
I couldn't do it, honestly. I know. Honestly, my cousin Jimmy, they've gone to him and they've tried it, and he's turned it down. And I would have to do it now. Obviously, if the money was insane, I would have to work around it, but I really, really, really want to stick to this.
You'd have to work around it that like you weren't technically like supporting it, but you would put it on the show. But
That's right.
Some kind of
like fingers crossed as I drank or something.
Yeah,
I don't know.
Yes, exactly. Well, You know what? I love people that stick to their guns and that are very passionate about something, and that's what we're passionate about. Coke Zero here today. I also love when my guests don't have alcohol like in the middle of the day, because we are shooting this at like
you do
9 a.m. your time.
Yeah.
So
I was thinking, I was like, you're gonna think I'm a square, but I just don't drink alcohol, and I know, I'm sorry, I know you can kick me off right now, but and it's not like I have a problem. I'm like when everyone in 9th grade got really super drunk and said, oh, I'm never doing that again. I kind of stuck to it. I was like, I don't like the taste of this. I hated the way I felt. I've had beer since then, a little bit here and there, but I think I have enough vices that I didn't want alcoholism to add to the list. But
you have a big one. You have a big vice that has actually been amazing for your career. But I always tell people, even though I have a drinking show, which is a really weird statement to say, like very open to. I mean, my mom doesn't drink. No, a lot of people we've had on the show are sober. But I will say, I did get a bit of a scoop that you may dabble with Fireball now and again.
Bonetta told you that, huh? Yeah.
Yeah, of course. I don't know who said that, maybe.
Yeah, our first outing, we had a shoot in Vegas, and it's like, see, this is what I mean. I'm like a child. I like, I'll try like a Kahlua and cream or something because it tastes like chocolate milk, and Fireball tastes like Big Red gum. But
it does.
Yeah, I like all the silly stuff. But yeah, that's one once in a while I'll do a Fireball shot. But otherwise, Coke Zero all the way.
Yes, Coke Zero. I had a non-alcoholic beer this weekend, which was a disaster. It's like, what's even the point? Right. I mean, there's no point in non-alcoholic beer. Just have a Coke Zero instead. We have a whole lot more we want to get to with Cousin Sal, not just on non-alcoholic beverages, a whole lot more on his career, gambling, and beyond. We got to take a quick time out on Drinks with Binks. Don't go anywhere. We've got Cousin Sal.
Hey, what's up, everybody? This is Jamel Hill, and I had drinks, with Binks, and I'm still standing, I'm sitting. See, that should let you know how drunk I am. Drinks with Binks.
Hey guys, welcome back to Drinks with Binks. I'm JSB, and I'm so excited to be joined by Cousin Sal. He is the co-founder of the Extra Points Podcast Network, co-host on Fox Bet Live. You know him from Kimmel and comedy, and as an attorney as well. And so I am very curious, though, about the world of gambling during what I like to deem like March to right now is August. I just call it quarantine. Like when I ask people, like, how's quarantine been? This is just the time. It's almost like, before March, after March. What's it been like from a gambling perspective? Yeah,
it's been rough, and you really... You don't completely understand how big a gambling problem you have until it happens during a quarantine. And so when Rudy Gobert vomited on March 11th, I think that was a Wednesday. Thursday, the Big East tournament was going. Okay, that was like the first. It tipped off early in the day, and St. John's was playing, I believe, Creighton, and there were rumblings about how it was going to be canceled. The tournament was going to be canceled, and everything was going to fall in line. So it was halftime of that game, and I went out. I was like, wow, this could be my last bet in a while. And I put a substantial amount on St. John's in the second half because you could bet games actually as they're going. But at halftime, I bet St. John's. And then like a minute later, they called off the season, and I never got to see that. And so then the next couple of weeks were just, I'm not even kidding, like I lost $90 betting virtual camel racing overseas and just dumb horse tournaments on ESPN. I mean, you saw all of it, but it was really, really depressing. But now it's glorious. It's the age of enlightenment. We have like sports around the clock. It's March Madness in August. So they've really made up for it. And obviously fingers crossed for football, which is the big sport for me.
Yes. Oh, I'm sure. And I mean, like the fact that we've dealt with this global pandemic and that it's still ongoing and that sports coming back has looked a bit different. We're watching the NBA, the virtual fans, and sort of no home court advantage in a way. In what way has the pandemic then sort of influenced the gambling sphere right now?
Well, if you look, like people are going crazy. I mean, you could read about the economy and people are out of work and everything, but the gambling, the odds providers, the stocks have gone way up. They're past where they were in February, and people are betting like mad. They're betting even golf tournaments. Like, you know, what it was, the PGA Championship of a couple of weeks ago was like 5 times what it normally is. And NBA, like people are dying to lose whatever money they have left. I don't know if they figure like the end of the world is coming, so it doesn't really matter. So I might as well just let it all go. But I don't know what the explanation is behind it. But yeah, there's been like kind of a gambling boom during this pandemic.
Yeah, well, people hadn't spent money on a lot of things, right? Like I normally go out all the time in New York City, spend just like money, like so much money on the weekends. And you realize like, oh, I have this money now. Well, rather than save it for something like a house or whatever, I might as well blow it somewhere else.
Yeah.
So gambling is perfect to sort of also just like as an activity in a way. But I'd be curious, so Sal, like how have the odds makers adapted during this time? Because sports aren't the same as they were before. They have had some, you know, the bubbles and even with MLB and kind of that, like how does that affect like the point totals and the odds that are being made?
Well, yeah, especially let's take the NBA, who's in a bubble. Everybody's playing in Orlando. So there's really no home court advantage. So we're seeing with a team like your Raptors, who are going to roll over Brooklyn, normally like Brooklyn would come home for games 3 and 4, and there might be some enthusiasm and they might pick up some momentum. Everybody's wearing black in the crowd, and you got the mascot jumping through the hoop, so they could kind of pick up. But I don't see that happening. Like I don't see, you kind of take that out of the equation, and the more talented teams are tending to just, prevail. And so the odds makers have to adjust that, and they have to juice up the odds in favor of the favorite. And as we saw, it wasn't good enough. On Monday, favorites in the NBA, NHL, and Major League Baseball went 20-1. So the sports books got hammered, and they don't really allow the bettor to survive more than one day, like be happy. So they have to overcompensate, and now you're going to have to pay a premium to bet a team like Toronto. By the way, I have to take issue with something with you, and you mentioned Rachel Bonnetta earlier. You saw the Raptors win the championship, right? You guys were there.
Yeah.
Right. Okay. You posted videos of you guys crying.
We were crying. Yeah. We were hugging. We were having delightful. The best time ever.
Now, I don't know. I imagine you were in the same boat, but Rachel was rooting in order for you to view that game at home and for Toronto to win. You had to root against the Raptors in Golden State the game before, right? Were you?
It was in Toronto. I think it was game 5 in Toronto because they won in 6. Yeah.
Yes. Okay.
Because then we had an opportunity to go see them in 6.
Right. So rather than have definitely this is cashed in, we're going to win the championship, you were selfish and said, no, we want to see them win the championship, so we're going to root against them in the previous game.
That might be Bonnetta's strategy. I have also being a Toronto Maple Leafs fan, have seen the worst of the worst, and I was just thinking, just get it done in 5. Please get it done when you can get it done, because this city has just just been the worst city to grow up as a sports fan.
Right.
And I remember watching that game 5 times, working. I actually had to broadcast like the post-game show if it was a little bit of a conflict of interest, but I'm a professional. And I remember just melting at the end of that game because they lost it like right at the end. But then in my mind, I was like, okay, well, I get to now, in a way I was sort of stressed. I'm like, well, now I got to fly to San Francisco. Like it's a bit more arduous. I would have rather you just finish it now.
With Bonetta, no less.
Then you give a Golden State an opportunity, right, to get confidence. And then if it was going 7, Sal, it was done. The city crumbles under any kind of adversity and pressure. Not the Raptors as much, but all the fans. So it was a nice little experience. I lost my passport that night, so the day after the Raptors won was just like a weird day for me. But that's how you know the party was good.
But that's the healthy way of looking at it. Like, hey, well, I want to take the win because I haven't seen my team win a championship. So let's get it done. The fact that she was rooting against her team, I said, all right, there's no way this ever works for any fan. I bet heavy on Golden State in the clinching game because I'm like, this can't work out. And then I'm like, oh yeah, what the hell do they care, the teams, about this one fan and me betting against it? So I was very surprised that actually worked out for you guys, but kudos.
I'm shocked that it worked out. Like feels like it really all was a dream, and the fact that Kawhi was even part of Toronto feels like a dream as well. But then now it's a recurring dream because they're showing that they can do it without Kawhi, and it's just going to be like a repeat again. Really, it's inevitable. I think all the sports books are like, yep, check mark, already Raptors defend the North. Okay, well, we got a whole lot more to get to with Cousin Sal here on Drinks with Binks, including many different bets that we want to place on sports and beyond. Don't go anywhere.
Hey everybody, I'm Nick Kiprios from Real Kipper at Noon on livemovement.com, and I just had Drinks with Binks, Little Buddha.
Welcome back to Drinks with Binks. I'm JSB. We got Cousin Sal here, and we are sipping on some Coca Zero, which is very tasty and refreshing, and surprisingly, we don't have a sponsor for this, but you know what? We are just doing the Lord's work here, helping out Coca-Cola products because that's nice of us to do. Sal, you have been like into gambling before anyone thought it was cool. Like you were dialed into it as a kid. And I'm so curious, like what was sort of that aha moment for you when you were like, I really want to lean into this. I am like, this is the moment I've sort of become a degenerate gambler.
Oh man, God, there were so many. I wish there was one. I mean, when I was like 6 years old, we used to flip baseball cards. I don't even know if you're familiar with flipping baseball cards.
Yes, I've seen that.
And everybody would risk 5 cards. And I was for some reason in my head, like I was like, no, I want to risk 50. I was the dirtbag in the courtyard, like risking 50 cards. And then like the bully stole them from me. And I was like, oh, and then kind of I made it my mission to win more cards. There was that. When I was 12, I had a paper route. I would go visit my cousin Jimmy and my cousins in Las Vegas. And my Aunt Chippy, God bless her, she had a video poker and still does a video poker addiction. And I wanted to share in that addiction. So the way it was set up, you can play video poker anywhere. They have video poker machines in 7-Eleven. Like, I'm not even kidding, in Las Vegas. So she would go bowling, and in the bowling alley there was a video poker machine, and I had to stand 30 feet behind her, and I gave her my newspaper route money, and we hit like 4 threes, and I won $80, and that was like a big deal. And I was like, this is it, this is my life. So I would say those 2 moments were pretty big. There's been a lot though.
I'm sure. Just it reinforced that you were on the right path, as they say. Yes,
exactly, the right path.
So then for your kids in particular, like what advice do you give them for like, hey, this is daddy's thing. He's really good at it. Here's how you can be good at it. Yeah, no,
I in fact go the other way. I'm like, this is daddy's thing and he's really bad at it. And somehow he's parlayed this into a career because I'm just less than hideous to look at on television and whatever else and do a few podcasts here and there. But yeah, I really try to, I'm going to be the football player telling my kids, warning them about head trauma and things like that. So I try to be realistic in that regard.
So you're like, no, maybe don't go down this path.
Yeah. Yeah, that's it. Go play with your friends, go surf, and get a job at the local convenience store and see where that leads you. But yeah,
but it's
gambling's not
been
the
so lucrative for you. A career, I'm sure lots and lots and lots of winning bets.
No, it's not that. I don't know. I can't even explain what it is. I think the thing with sports gambling is, and I have the podcast with Bill Simmons, where we guess the lines of the following week NFL action every Sunday night. And the one good thing about it is, like, I don't have to be 100%. In fact, it's as long as I'm not like 50%, like, I think people could sink their teeth into my analysis. I have tons of people like, thank you for that losing pick. I've been fading you since March, and I've made $11,000, and now my kid is going to junior college as a result, and that's great. And I was like, all right, I guess that's good, you know. And
Yeah.
I've also had death threats too, where people specifically tell me what part of the 405 they're going to meet me on the way to work.
Wow.
And so that's not terrific. But yeah, so that is the one thing. Like, I could be bad and I could be very good. As long as I'm not in the middle, it seems to work.
Yes, inexact science. So which would you prefer, talking about betting and gambling or actually doing it?
I like actually doing it. When all the cards are on the table, I think, like, do you play fantasy football or anything like that?
Yes.
You do. And why do you do it? Do you do it for the prize at the end, or do you do it for, like, bragging rights?
No, I do it just so that it keeps me, like, engaged
interesting.
for the season. Because, like, we have the Buffalo Bills here, kind of Canadian, like the Toronto Argonauts, and no CFL season. Also, I wouldn't be watching them anyway. But yeah, it just keeps you engaged so that you're like, you don't lose, I don't want to say lose interest, but like so that you follow all the games, for me at least.
Yeah. So for me, I think it's more of a bragging rights thing with fantasy, especially if you're doing it with your friends. Like, because what are you going to win at the end of the year? Like $500, which works out to like $2.50 an hour in terms of like how much work you put into it. Sports gambling's kind of the same thing. Like, I want to say, oh, I had the Lakers, I got a good line with them -5.5, and they won by 6 over the Blazers. So even though everybody else got the line at 6.5, it gets confusing. But the point is, I think it's more of a bragging rights thing. I'm trying not to, it's been a while since I've bet more than I've had in the bank account. So that's good. But yeah, so for me, it's see what I know. This is what I know. I can go on TV and brag, even though really everyone is lucky. Even if you call a game from beginning to end, like, all right, the Bills are going to come out, they're going to return a punt for a touchdown, then they're going to fumble, and they're going to come back, they're going to be down by 3 and win in overtime. If you call that exactly, you're still completely lucky. Like, it just doesn't, it doesn't factor into what you're saying. So, and once they put the ball on the field, so it's kind of a little game you play with yourself.
It is, and it's a game with others, and it just makes, like, as you mentioned, sort of the camaraderie with your friends in a group, and it, ups the stakes in a way. Now, you, of course, are on all these different shows and networks, and for FS1, my alma mater here, with my good friend Rachel Bonetta, you guys are on Fox Bet Live, formerly Lock It In, also a very great name for a show. What have you guys felt over the, since conception to now? Like, where do you feel the show is right now?
The show is failing. No, the show is the show's.
The show is canceled, as you know.
I have a big announcement to make. I didn't think it was right to do it right off the top when we're sipping Coke Zero, but no, I think it's kind of goes back to what I'm talking about. So you have 3 idiots. You have Todd Furman, who is supposed to be the robotic stats nerd who can really do deep dive into analysis and statistics and trends that should get you to a point where you could pick a winner. And then you have me, who I guess I'm there for comic effect, and it's a bonus if I win. And then you have Clay Travis, which I'm guessing people just mute and don't really listen to his opinions, because wherever he gets his stats from, whether it's globally or sports-wise, you can't really count on those. So, and then Rachel's there to make fun of us, and she does a great job calling the shots. So I think it's different from any other show. I think a lot of these times they'll put together, because there's a little more personality in our show than others. You see these other shows, first of all, they just vomit up stats left and right, and a lot of that stuff you could just find online. And as far as when you put them on camera, it feels like they're shooting a very produced hostage video because they really don't want to be on camera. But I don't want to put anyone down, but that's kind of what the difference is between our show and others, and whether it works or not is remains to be seen.
I think it works as it's still going on. That's always a great indicator. And as you mentioned, you guys have personality. You all have some of your own characters, and it keeps it fun. And for people who, there's so many novice bettors out there, right, that are just trying to learn it. Right. So it keeps it fun, and you use analogies, and you guys riff one another, and you can very clear relationships. As, of course, you know, in the comedy world, and improv is very, very important.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
And there's one relationship /2 I want to ask you about, but we got to take a quick time out. We are here with Cousin Sal from Fox Bet Live and the Extra Points Podcast Network on Drinks with Binks. Don't go anywhere.
I'm Charlotte Wilder.
And I'm Jessica Smetana.
And we're Imagine Dragons. And we spent Halloween having drinks with Binks.
Sure did.
Hey guys, welcome on back. We are drinking and binking here on the show with Cousin Sal. We were just talking about Fox Bet Live, formerly Lock It In, with my good friend and Canadian legend icon, Rachel Bonetta, who was holding down the fort and having to deal with all of you guys every single day. You guys, though, you and Rachel have had a lot of fun creating your own videos and kind of prankster things. How would you describe your relationship?
She's like a younger cousin to me. I really like that. I look out for, and I mean, she's great. She has terrific. She's already there, but she's got great potential, and I'm a big fan of hers. And I think you share the kind of same work ethic. And I don't want to put anyone down, but it's hard to find a lot of people your age with the work ethic of you guys, and just kind of churning out content and the desire to do it over and over and over every day. And I see that in her, and I think she's terrific at it, and she's funny and all that stuff. So, you know, like when we do these little skits, we'd basically bet $20 on stupid things like who could race further and win a race with in a trash can, or I can't even think of some of the stupid things we've done. But
no, you guys have done a lot. It's great.
Yeah, I'm drunk off a Coke Zero. I can't remember.
That you guys have.
But yeah, she's terrific.
Yes. She's a hard worker. I think it's that Canadian grit, right? Like,
is that what it is?
That blue collar Canadians.
Yeah.
Just kind of like just a better human being in general too. Just like kind of like gets it in the life. You know, I sense that you're kind of joking, but Celine Dion does 14 shows a night for 30 years. So I think there's something to that. No? That is insane. Celine Dion is also like, I don't think she's even real.
That might be it.
She's just, there's a lot of Canadian icons that are sort of like not even real, like the whole cast of Schitt's Creek, basically.
Is that right?
I'm obsessed with. Yeah, we're going to get to them a little bit later on. What a tease. But there's also another person on your show mentioned gets, a lot of flack, who's sort of like your hate guy. You guys, Clay Travis, also a little controversial in the world right now, you could say. How would you describe sort of an analogy for what Clay is on the show?
I don't know. Here's the thing. I like Clay. I really do. He's charming, and that I think gets me even more riled up. The fact that like in real life he's this charming guy that you could talk to and everything, and you could have a conversation. He's level-headed, and I don't love where he comes from politically. And it's funny because Rachel and I said, and I don't mind bringing this up because I talked to him about this on his show. We were getting so much shrapnel for being associated with him. And it's really not fair to say, you should quit the show. You should quit this job that you've worked so hard to get because you don't like, or, your politics don't align with the guy in the middle box. It's like, well, does everyone have to get along with, agree with everyone they work with? I don't think the world would function if that were the case, but Rachel took it a little more personally than I did, but we both decided to mute him on Twitter. Like, okay, I don't want to hate this guy. But it didn't matter because everyone is forwarding his tweets to us. So we ended up hearing everything about it. And, we had a little intervention. We're like, how are we going to go forward with this? Cause it's not fair. And he told the truth. He's like, look, I'm sorry you're getting, you're in the you're in the crossfire of this, but this is how I feel. And I was like, yeah, that's the problem. This is how you feel. We need you to feel differently. But as far as the sports gambling goes, I love pounding him for his lack of preparation. And that seems to be something that's going to live on forever, because he'll chalk it up to being up at 4 a.m. Doing his radio show. But I think he just doesn't care.
Yeah, I appreciate your honesty with that. And I know it's probably a little bit weird to talk about it, but I think it also is good because, as you mentioned, sometimes you have to carry some of what, it's not a surprise. Clay is very polarizing and antagonistic on Twitter. And that's like who he is and has leaned into that. I know Clay well from working at Fox, and I do believe sort of the dichotomy of, look at all these big words I'm throwing out.
Yeah, that's pretty big.
Personality. But yeah, it kind of puts you guys in a weird situation. So you are dealing with it the best way possible. And no one would want to quit. Like if you had, someone was being, it's like if someone was being a jerk to you at work and you're just like, well, oh, you should quit because that person's awful. You're like, no, this is my job. Like, why do I have to leave? Right. Or something like that.
Well, there's a lot of jealousy on Twitter. So a lot of people would give you advice that they wouldn't necessarily take themselves. Like, there's no way you would quit this job because you didn't like somebody. Come on, I'm sorry you're not liking what he's saying politically and everything. But it is interesting. Like, he interviewed the president the other day, and our, we're like, hey, don't talk about it. It's like, are you kidding me? Of course we have to. I don't care if we like the president or not. Of course, I have to have a comment on your interview with the president. And I was like telling the producers, I'm like, I'm sorry. I told him, I was like, wow, in honor of Clay's interview with the president, he should only be forced to bet softball today in light of all his questions that were, there were no follow-ups, and, it was all softball questions the whole way. And they were very upset. They're like, oh, no, we got to keep it on. So I was like, no, I have to be able to. I'll take crap if I don't comment on something like that. And Rachel felt the same way, I think.
Agreed. And that would be the same. I'd have the same point to you if anyone was like, oh, why'd you bring it up? Be like, well, I got to ask him about it because he's with the guy every single day. But enough about Clay. You have got a really big opportunity, a really cool new project that you're doing with the Extra Points Podcast Network. Friend of the show, also absolutely amazing female in the business, Charlotte Wilder on the pod. Tell me sort of like what your goal is with creating this new network.
My goal is to sell this to Spotify in 3 weeks for like $75 because I've had enough. No, it's a lot harder than I thought. I wanted to do a cross section of sports and comedy and sports comedy and gambling. And that's kind of what we're hitting with the Extra Points. It's me, it's Charlotte, as you mentioned. She's terrific. And Dave Damashek, my buddy of like 20 years from the NFL Network. And we put it all together. And, we're finding our footing here, and we're hitting those 3 sweet spots: sports gambling, and comedy. And so that's it. And then that's one of the shows on the network. We have Against All Odds is a pretty more focused sports gambling show. Laugh Lines with Rachel Bonetta. Love for you to appear on that, where we go over fake propositions. And so that's kind of it. And we're adding podcasts in the fall, more specialized East Coast football and Midwest football. And we're going to have fantasy podcasts, all that thing. But it is weird to me because I did this and I added 5 hours of chat between these podcasts, and I realized, wow, I don't have a lot to say. And I really don't. And I thought, like, I'm with Simmons and Adam Carolla, and I look at those guys, I'm like, yeah, they have a lot to talk about, and they like hearing the sound of their voice, and I don't like hearing the sound of my voice. So this is going to be interesting to see how it progresses. But someone like Charlotte really helps out. She's terrific. She's on point. I can go to her every single time, and she'll have a thoughtful, funny response and something that we hadn't thought about in the sports world, some little tidbit. So it's working out.
Very witty, very quick. But I can't believe you just figured this out now that you don't. You have nothing to say.
Well, I think
you have plenty to say, Sal. You're everywhere saying things, and people want to listen.
But let me know if you think this is true. If you find it the same way, especially during the pandemic, there are now 7 or 8 major topics where I'm like, they could be right, or maybe we could send the kids to college, or maybe they could play football. Like, I don't know. And I know that's no way to go. The Clay Travis model is like, take a definite stance, even if it's the wrong stance, and even further, if you don't believe in it, you have to have you have to really dig your heels in. And I'm like, I'd rather just listen to people and like make a decision based on that. And I don't know, do we have to decide if Nick Saban is right or AOC? Like, maybe if they are going to test the players.
We have to decide, as the first word comes out of their mouth,
Yes.
before anything comes out of their mouth, we decide.
Yes, we have to take a side, right? Yeah.
I will say, I'm on the other side of the Clay Travis model. I am very intense, like bubble girl right now.
Really?
We wear masks like in our sleep in this household, in the JSB Museum. We are not getting COVID over here, even if it turns us into like having very, very intense anxiety for the rest of our lives, which we would have had anyway.
Right.
But yes, I agree with you. It's one of those times, as you mentioned, listening, and especially in many different realms as the world is changing versus just always talking. But you've employed a number of good people to be able to get different points of view.
I just think if everyone wore a mask for 20 minutes a day, this thing would be gone in like a dozen years.
Yeah. And that would be taking the under, right? Yeah.
That's right. Just take 20 minutes. You decide which 20 minutes. Maybe it's in the bathroom, whatever. And it doesn't have to be consecutive. Just 20 minutes.
Yeah, probably when you're outside, like around people, would be the good 20 minutes to take it.
All right. Well, you've thought about this more than I have. You see what I mean? I don't have a lot to say. I think I just proved it.
I'd be curious, though, the over-under on vaccines or no vaccines in the gambling world and many other interesting questions. We're going to talk with Cousin Sal about that and a whole lot more when we come back after this break on Drinks with Binks.
My name is Cabby Richards from Bleacher Report. I had many drinks and a wonderful conversation on Drinks with Binks with JSB. Shit, do they know you as JSB? They don't, right?
Welcome back into Drinks with Binks. I'm JSB. We've got Cousin Sal here, gambling guru, degenerate extraordinaire. So we thought we'd play a little game of bet or sip, which is really just a game I play every week, but I change what exactly we're doing, but we will drink Coke Zero today. So, Sal, I'm going to give you a very specific bet, and you can either take that bet, or if you don't want it, you sip. But of the 6 bets, you're only allowed to sip 3 of them, so you can't pass on all. Lego!
You know, I'm going to make it easy. I'm going to take every bet. There you go. That's just how I am. No, go ahead. Please.
Okay.
Go
well, then this game is over then.
I'm a degenerate. This is not a great game to play with me. No, I'm kidding. I'm sorry. I'm ruining your intro. Go ahead.
It's okay. This is called improv. I'm trying to I got to roll with it. Yes, and you are ruining this. Okay. Lakers versus Trailblazers, Portland and Dame time, plus 425 as an 8th seed. That may have changed since I've written this interview to knock off LA. Do you take that bet or are you going to sip?
No, I'm going to sip. So do I sip? Should I answer first?
Physically sip it.
All right, I'll sip, yeah.
Yep, take that sip.
Listen, So I think this is going to be a quick series because LeBron and AD know they have some tough ones ahead. So they're going to want to knock off Portland in 5.
Next up, Stanley Cup Finals. Let's go back to those early roots here, Sal. The New York Islanders are plus 650 to win the Stanley Cup. Do you take that bet or you're going to sip?
I'll take it. They're a lot of fun. There's a lot of heart in this team. They play all 3 periods. The hot goalie right now. And I think they're kind of built, Trotz's team, I think they're built for the playoffs, and I'm taking it. No sipping here.
Awesome. Pucks in deep. NBA Finals. Toronto Raptors are 10-1 odds to win the NBA Finals. Do you take that bet?
Can I take half a sip? Because I think they're going to win the East, but then fall to the Lakers in the finals. So I'll do the like that, but no.
Yeah, you can take half a sip, but I'm going to hold you to that because you're going to have to take another sip when they do win. Because keep receipts here on this show. All right, we keep them. Alien life form via David Kipling, an assistant professor at Columbia University. The odds of life form existing elsewhere in the universe is 9-1. Do you take that bet?
Don't get me started with Kipling. He and I have gone back and forth on this. Oh, yeah.
Really?
Yeah, no, I'm kidding. But
okay,
yeah,
I was like, wow, that's really odd.
It exists. Isn't that, wouldn't that be arrogant to think that we're the only life form? But what did he say, on another planet or just?
Elsewhere in the universe. So,
yeah, sure.
Yes.
Yeah, and how are you going to prove me wrong here? So, yeah, I'll take that.
Yeah, I guess I said I keep receipts, so I guess I would revisit this many years
There
down
you
the
go.
road. I also agree with that. This is my favorite season. Awards. Emmys via Play Now. Outstanding comedy series. Schitt's Creek leads the way. Minus 167 odds. Do you take that bet?
Do you know? I'm sorry, I don't have the other. Do you know the other?
Yes, I knew you were going to ask me this too, so I have these ready. Marvelous Mrs. Maisel at I didn't actually. I didn't change them to the whatever.
That's okay.
Marvelous Mrs. Maisel 2.45. Curb Your
Okay.
Enthusiasm at 9.5, and Good Place at 12.
This is tough because I think Marvelous Mrs. Maisel won last year, I believe. People love Curb, but it's more of a niche thing. I've seen a couple episodes. People are over the moon about Schitt's Creek. I'll go with it.
Oh, you got to watch it, man.
I'll take it. Okay.
Yeah, I love that for you. Okay,
All right.
and finally, election via bookies.com. On Tuesday, Joe Biden is minus 124. I think it's 134. I have an error on this. To win the 2020 presidential U.S. election. Trump is plus 120. Do you take that bet?
Are you laughing at our country right now? Do you think this is...
Right now, I mean, I've been I've been
been a
laughing
while.
the whole time.
Yeah. God, please. I mean, I don't even know what is going to be. He has slowed down the mail in an effort to win, an effort to prove himself right. Trump has slowed down the mail. And I don't know. I was like driving around the other day thinking about it. I was like, what is he going to stop waves in the ocean? Like, it doesn't seem possible that this goes on. But I think people will come out, they will vote, and Joe Biden will be the next 46th president of the United States.
One can only hope that the shenanigans and everything that goes on beyond the scenes of trying to stay in office are not happening.
Sorry,
all right,
Clay Travis.
This has been great here on Spit or Sip with Cousin Sal. We got a whole lot more to come. Don't go anywhere on Drinks with Binks.
What's up, everybody? My name's Jackie Redmond, and I had non-alcoholic Drinks with Binks. It was still fun. Boo.
Hey guys, welcome back to Drinks with Binks with Cousin Sal. We've been talking a whole lot of gambling, but I love the comedy side of what you've done in your life, and would be remiss not to ask about your cousin, Jimmy Kimmel, of course. What's maybe some of the best advice that he's given you?
Well, he's just like he has the best combination of like work ethic and humor and just that I've ever seen. So, I mean, he's working around the clock, and basically the best advice he got is like, when writing a bit, just get to 90%. And this goes for something that on a show that's every day, because when we did the Man Show, which also kind of precedes you, I think, we did one show a week and it was like 22 minutes on Comedy Central. So there was like a lot more leeway. And then when we pivoted to Jimmy Kimmel Live, it is just nonstop every single day. And he comes from radio too, which is like, you can't really celebrate the good bits or get too down on yourself for the ones that didn't work out as you have it. So if you get it to like 90%, you'll keep your sanity. So that's one thing that he taught me. Also the Coca-Cola thing. Yeah. So
that is a really, really big one. And okay, I have some other ones I want to ask you, but like maybe what's one tip about, would you say, for comedy right now when we're doing everything over Zoom, we're not really in person, like what's one way do you think comedy can work in this new world?
Yeah, it's tough because, and it's going to be interesting to see, knock on wood, if things go back to normal, are people more used to this look like we're seeing right now? And can we get away with that? And I have a feeling a lot of the bigger companies, and I know this for sure, are going to cut costs. And this kind of might be the future for comedy. So you're going to have to figure some fun stuff out. I mean, you laugh about it, but you have a nice background with like kind of all of your accomplishments growing up, and like that all adds to content. You're going to have to find different ways to add humor and things like background. Although I do worry that those medals are going to fall on your head and you're going to be in concussion protocol.
You know, it's
next
amazing that they haven't fallen yet, because I had a Bare Naked Ladies poster sitting here last week that I took off and the nail's gone. So it's just, the place is just teetering. It's 1 second away from just all sort of combusting into dust, which is what everyone's parents' house is.
Of course, yeah.
One other question. You give away a trophy every year for your new favorite person. I heard somebody it was a bit of a catastrophe that Rachel Bonnetta did not get it. It's kind of odd, but where did that all come from?
She didn't get it. You know, I don't know. It was like probably a dozen years ago. I started writing down. It's not my favorite person. It's the favorite person I met in that given year. So 2018, obviously, I was very close with Rachel. She should have been the runaway winner, but I pitted her up against this guy named Uncle Jimmy, who is best friends with Jason Whitlock. Now, Uncle Jimmy, I probably spoke 20 words to all year long, but I had it down to those two, and I gave the award to Uncle Jimmy, and Rachel was very upset, crying even more than she did when the Raps won the title last year. And I'm not even sure that Uncle Jimmy knew my name or does now. So, but yeah, it's a good thing.
If I had more time, I would ask how Uncle Jimmy then had the edge, because when I did ask Rachel some info on you, she did bring this up. So it's clearly a big thing.
She's upset. Yeah, no, it might have been rigged that year, but you should do it. It's a nice, fun exercise. 2020 is a little tough because we've been quarantined. So you're not, maybe it might be like a DoorDash guy or something that you met.
I think it'd be my mom or my boyfriend. Yeah.
No, it's got to be someone. It's got to be who you met that year. So I'm guessing you met your mom prior to 20.
A couple years prior to that. I don't think I've actually met anyone this year, Sal. So that's going to be a tough one. And that's probably going to be the same for 2021 as well. But I digress. Okay, we have to get going. We are going to find out everything Sal's working on when we come back. So don't go anywhere. So guys, we've had an awesome time drinking and binking here with Cousin Sal, crushing some Coca-Zero. Sal, where can everyone find you next?
Well, like I said, I have Fox Bet Live, 4:30 to 5:30 Eastern on FS1. Extra Points Podcast Network. We have a bunch of podcasts up there with Charlotte Wilder and Dave Damashek and Rachel Bonnetta, and there's going to be podcasts added there. Jimmy Kimmel Live. Hopefully one day I'll be able to go back and do hidden camera bits. People really like getting screwed with during a pandemic, so that'll be fun. And I don't know, Thursday Night Football on Fox. I have a comedy bit there on the pregame show. So that's about it.
Well, Sal just has all the jobs in the world, and we thank him so much for taking time out of his busy day to be here with us on Drinks with Binks. And guys, if you want to watch more episodes on Fubo Sports Network, you know where to find us on YouTube, Twitter, and Instagram as well. This is available in podcast format on Spotify, Apple, or wherever you get your podcasts. Cheers, Sal. Thank you so much for joining us here today. And guys, keep on drinking and binking. We'll see you next time. Bottoms up, bitches. I wish I could speak. I'm not even drunk right now.